Before we get started, let's introduce everyone in the meeting. I'm Jonathan Nickerson. When I call your name, confirm you can hear me by verifying that you are present. Starting with the commissioners, Patrick,
Yes, present, can hear you.
Betsy,
Present.
and the staff, Leah
I'm here.
and Jan.
Present.
And then for speakers tonight, we have a bunch of folks from the Recreation Commission. So Kristen doesn't appear to be on yet. Stephen doesn't appear to be on yet.
Yep, no, Steven's here.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go. Kayla, Mike Bruni,
Mike is here.
all right, and Jen Anderson.
Here.
All right, thank you very much. This open meeting, let me just put it in the middle of my screen so I can see it. This open meeting of the Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order as extended on June 15th, 2021, February 12th, 2022, and July 16th, 2022. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your microphone or computer when you are not speaking. If you are using the dial-in by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges. We were just talking that we may modify that a little bit, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll invite each commissioner by name to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After the commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by the participants. Participants must use the raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon at the bottom right-hand corner of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you're using the dial-in by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when you are called on. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time by their name and then will be promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by the commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside of this purview need to be addressed with the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board and traffic conditions must be addressed with the planning board. So for the action items, do we need to continue these, Leah, or they've been rescheduled? So
Yeah, I don't think we need a vote because it's not a hearing or anything. We're also going to bump the September 20 meeting minutes to 10/18 as well.
okay, so we don't need to do anything with those, so we can move down to discussion items. So we can move right into 95 North Street Park.
Yeah, we can do that first if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be great. So Jen, I don't know if you're leading this one. Again, if you need something shown on the screen and you can't share the screen, then Jan is here to help.
No, it's fine. I mean, I talked to Recreation Commission last night. I think Leah's going to drive the bus talking to you guys. And then we will, hook up after.
Okay. So
All right.
Leah, give us the lay of the land here.
Sure. As long as it lets me. Can you see that presentation?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So Jen and I have put together a slide deck here. It's not in its final form. We're still tweaking it, as well as RDLA is working on tweaking some things as well. We did want to get your feedback though on just the layout of things, how it's looking, if you think we need to add anything, stuff like that. This will be the presentation used this Thursday at our community meeting number 3. It's the final one for the public before town meeting. And then it'll be tweaked a little bit further just to cater it more towards town meeting for the 17th. So this would be our landing page. And then the agenda for the presentation, the things we felt were important. We're probably going to drop the team off of this because it's just going to be us and then Ray from RDLA. So we'll probably drop the team slide, but we'll talk about the history of the property, the timeline of this whole process, the results we got from community input, the design and the amenities that we are going to put at the site, as well as the goals that are covered under the open space plan. And then we'll go through the costs at the meeting this Thursday. Would take Q&A, would answer questions at town meeting as well, but it would be, just people coming to the town meeting floor with things. It wouldn't be like this Thursday's informal, come ask what you want and get informed kind of deal. So that's the slide we'll probably drop out. We have a slide with some photos from the family to show the history of the property with all the different farming they did there. With the timeline of the project, that the land, we started with the donation for a passive recreation park. We moved through the design phase that we're wrapping up now, heading into town meeting. If you guys feel this is redundant, we can drop this one since we have a timeline on the prior slide, but that's just to show where we are for community meeting 3. This slide, our consultant is working on tweaking so that it ends up ranked by like the most popular responses at the top and then trickle down to the least popular. So it'll be a little easier to read and speak to at the time. We'll probably also talk about how many total responses we got to the survey, which was, I think, around 230. We've been talking about how to show the design and then how to show the amenities at the same time. I threw this slide together this afternoon, which takes the design itself and then, calls out the features with a little photo on the side for each thing. A previous version was like this, and then we had the design on a separate slide. So that was one of the Recreation Commission's suggestions.
Can
And
I
then
ask a stupid question or not?
You can ask any question you want at any time. You guys feel free to
Well, I
interrupt
see
me.
that nice loop pad. Are dogs going to be prohibited from?
We allow dogs on all our properties as long as you have them on a leash.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Are they proposing putting a fireplace in the shaded structure, or is that just a sample picture? I mean, obviously, I know it's a sample picture, but
Good point.
is that
Good
the
point.
intent?
Yeah, maybe we should get another pavilion photo.
Even a Google search might find you a decent pavilion one that we
Okay.
could borrow. And is the path, the smaller loop is paved? Is it a concrete path?
It's gonna be is the right word crushed, Jen, or is it compacted?
Like stabilized stone dust. is what-
Stabilized, thank you.
Yeah.
So you may want to take the picture on the bottom left out of the accessible multi-use loop. If it's not going to be that appears to just be concrete. You may get a different clientele with, I don't know, someone that has a more
Okay.
I know it's supposed to be ADA compliant, and the stone dust is ADA compliant, but if they're expecting concrete, I wonder if that would throw them off. But
No, good
Oh,
point.
you mean that picture, Jonathan?
yeah, that
Yeah.
looks like a wide concrete path.
It
just
looks
with
like
standard-
it's concrete. It's
Okay.
true, and people are very literal. It's a good
Yeah.
point.
I mean, considering how much they talked
So-
about the parking, the parking and the other pieces of it, they might, some people might nitpick some of the pictures, even though they
Okay.
are samples. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna ask another question. Now I lost.
If you
my
need
thought.
me to go back at all, I mean,
Oh, the timeline.
yeah. Let me go back to that. Which one? This one or the detail
So
one?
if this, I guess, will there be a timeline? So once it's approved, if it's approved, when would it actually be completed?
Okay, so you want to see dates going forward as well? That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
Because
Okay,
people are gonna ask.
sure.
You could condense it. You could change the color from past to present or something. So it indicates where we are in the process. We've used similar things on projects. presentations.
Okay,
And it's, you can say estimated because it's going to be dependent upon when it gets approved and weather conditions,
yep. Okay,
people love to just like hold on to like one thing you say and not hear the.
they want to know when they can go enjoy it.
I want to know, that's got a great, if I can bring my dog now that I can do it, that's a great walking, that's only like right up the street from me.
Yeah. All right, we can jump around as much as you want, but let me just show you the last couple things here. So then we highlight the goals that this park helps accomplish from the open space plan and also CPC's plan. And then we take everybody through the cost. The top section is the total project cost. The second section down are the cost savings from DPW doing some work for us, as well as our two departments kicking in some funds to come to the total CPA request in yellow. And then at the bottom, we have a couple of grant opportunities that we might be able to get to reimburse some of the CPA funds. So we detailed that for folks as well. And, our last slide will be a big thank you. For this Thursday, it'll say come out and vote on the 17th, but obviously on the 17th, it's not going to say that.
So the town meeting is on the 17th.
Yeah, Monday the 17th. We have our next Concom meeting the next night, Tuesday the 18th. So that'll be another busy week for us. But let me just get out of full screen. But you guys, if you have a specific slide you want me to go back to, if you have any questions, any ideas, we really intended for this to be pretty just informal conversation back and forth. If anybody from RecCom wants to join in, that's fine too. We're just trying to iron out as best we can with the narrative we're going to put forward for the public.
Can we look at the cost slide again?
Yeah. Do you want it like this or do you want it large?
It's fine for me. I don't know.
Okay,
I can read it, yeah.
sure.
And as we look at this, just again, another silly question. So the 685 minus the 887 is what the town is voting on?
So the 887 is just paying for the project, plain and simple, no matter where the money's coming from. That's the total cost
So
of doing the
that's what has to
project.
get voted on.
Nope, the yellow is what's being
That's what
voted
I'm
on.
asking. So
Yeah, the yellow.
so the difference between 887 and 685
Yep, is the 202.
is the 202. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
What happens if the project goes over 685? The project outside of what the town and recreation funds, conservation recreation funds cover. If we go over 685,
So I'm actually gonna throw that one over to Jen because she has a lot more experience doing CPA projects than I do. I don't know what happens if you need to change the price tag.
Well, just so everyone understands too, I mean, we have more narrative behind some of these slides as well. And so we are going to include the soft cost and the fact that includes, contingencies and escalation. So we do have that percent as a contingency in there. So hopefully that covers it, right? But every project could go over. And basically, I believe we would be going back to CPA and asking for more. You've seen kind of like what the Lions Club has done, and they finish a phase and they go back again. So we would have to go and request more funding, but there is it built in as a buffer.
And is there an estimate then for maintenance costs? Storm comes, you got to do cleanup. Is the stone dust or the paved path going to be cleared during the winter, or is it's only going to be a seasonal use, free of ice and snow?
So most of the maintenance we're intending to to incorporate into our existing budgets, DPW, conservation, parks and recreation. For instance, you know, we have meadows here that we're going to want to keep mowed. As you guys know, we got that brush hog with DPW. They're already mowing stuff for us now, that kind of thing. And we talked a little bit about, you know, like having trash cans and stuff like that, and having those emptied and maintaining the parking lot and all that maintenance stuff. We're planning on it would just be incorporated into existing budgets for our departments.
Okay.
What, can you remind me what the size of the parking lot was? Was that the
Yeah.
size?
Yep. Let me just go back up. Not that it's the biggest photo here. I believe we're now at a total of 9 spaces, and the breakdown is 7 regular and 2 handicap accessible.
How does that compare to other properties in town? Similar size to?
So, I mean, compared to all our properties for conservation lands, it would probably be the biggest parking lot would be in charge of, maybe with one exception of Hassanemet Woods, maybe, but people really have to, you know, angle their cars really funny to get in there. So this would be the biggest lot we have. I know there are parks in town that have bigger parking lots, like somebody brought up, the Mill Villages, I think somebody brought up on one of these outreach meetings we were doing. But that's really a place that's intended for, like, you know, everybody come here, park your car, have a party, like a big gathering type of thing. The stuff we're intending to happen here would be like drop-off activities for scouts. Down the road, would like to see sidewalks connecting this to the school up the street so that classes could walk down and, you know, have a little field day. The pavilion, I believe, is going to fit 4 picnic tables. So, I mean, it is, you know, it's a sizable piece of property. It's 17 acres, but we're not really intending for it to be like, hold your wedding here kind of thing, you know? So that's what we could fit in given the wetlands, and we wanted to fit the shade structure and the nature play up front, because if we were to cross that stone wall that they're right next to, we get into the area where there was some contamination in the soil, and we really shouldn't be disturbing it or having kids play too much in that area.
The parking, if it was full, would we put a sign or something, or on the actual interpretive signage, could we say overflow parking on Stonegate? I know that we threw that, I know that was discussed a little bit on, I think it was CPC, or one of the other meetings that I had jumped on, but
Yeah,
that side of Stonegate that kind of is closest to the park, there's not a
Right.
lot of houses there, and
Right.
then cars were to park there, they really wouldn't be in the way.
Oh,
I don't.
I think that's a private road, or it was a private road, Jonathan.
so
Okay.
I
Um,
mean,
We'll kind of run the risk of getting a noisy opposition from that neighborhood.
that would,
Yeah.
I'm telling you to have a revolt. I'm not joking. I mean, I live 2 houses down on the other side of the street. And when I've walked my dog, I've actually had people tell me this is a private road. I can't walk my dog there. But
Interesting.
I
I
don't
don't-
know that changed, because I think the town plows their roads now, but we should check whether that's a private road or not.
yeah, I don't believe it is private anymore. I can check, but
Yeah, so at some
full-
point it must have moved over, because I have seen town trucks
yeah.
plow there.
I mean, full disclosure, we've all parked street side on Stonegate when we've had to go out and do things,
Yeah,
you know, for this process. I know the chief, in talking to him, he does not want to see street side parking on North Street. If people start to do that, he's gonna have signs put up telling them not to.
Yeah.
That being said, I can ask how he feels about Stonegate. I can find out if it's private or not. And I can find out people's take on, you know, should we suggest people go park over there, or should we not point people to that?
It's going to be an issue at this point.
yeah, there's,
So
Well, let's put it this way. If the parking lot's full and they can't park on North Street, they're gonna park there anyway, right? Or someone's gonna find a place if they really want to go, right?
yeah,
If Yeah, it happens, at some of the other open spaces in town
Right.
where,
Right.
right by the concrete plant, I don't remember the name of if that 4 or
Yeah.
5 spot thing is full, they park up the road. They don't park on 140, but they park up the road.
Mhm.
So it just, again,
So who
The-
is,
Lee,
When-
I have a comment or two.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or sorry, Jonathan, you're the chair, right?
no, go ahead.
No, so yeah, so I mean, like the chief said, people are gonna do what they're gonna do, and that's what they do everywhere. But if it turned into more of an issue, the traffic study committee was gonna take a look at it, and like Leah said, put inside and if we need to. We're not, it's also, walkable property where you have bike racks, it's a bikeable property. I think most of our properties between conservation and recreation, to have more than 7 cars there for more than any length of time is probably rare. And so, that sort of turnover, we're hoping to see will happen. It's been suggested by, I think, a CPC member, and we have yet to talk to DPW about it or the landscape architects, but if there's room before that stone wall even begins in the parking lot to push the start back a little bit of the entrance to fit 2 or 3 cars along the edge off the road, as well. But again, just looking at the volume of the properties, this does offer something different. We're, like Leah said, looking at more of a drop-off program. We're not gonna, be booking any large gatherings or anything there. But yeah, just wanted to comment on the parking a little bit further.
That's very helpful. Patrick, what were you going to say?
oh, thanks. And thanks, Jen. I'm really trying to mostly think of annoying questions that might come up at time.
Yeah, do it.
I do the same thing.
So, I'm wondering who will be presenting this when it does come up at town meeting.
Yeah, so we're still ironing out those details, but our Jen and I's vision is we'll have Ray's gonna be there from RDLA. We were thinking he could do a little intro. And then we want to split up this slide deck to have someone from the conservation side speak to half and someone from the recreation side speak to the other half. We don't want to, flood the stage with 7 people who are going to talk, but we thought, when we get to town meeting, we'll all sit in the same area. When the article comes up, the folks to go up on stage, we thought would be Ray from RDLA, Jen and I, and then Sandy and Kristen is your chair, right, Jen? So the 2 chairs.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, the 2 chairs, Jen and I and Ray actually up on stage. And then whether Jen and I speak to it or the chairs do, would do half conservation talking and half recreation talking. If anyone wants to volunteer to talk, if that's anyone's cup of tea and you want to volunteer and you're not the chair, that's cool too. We're still working that kind of thing out, but that was our thought.
So it sounds like you're a strong team up there, and it's not just the select board throwing this up on the
Right.
screen.
Right.
Okay.
We already asked the town moderator for permission to be able to have 10 minutes or so to do this. So they're planning on it fitting into the schedule that night.
Nice.
Okay. I don't think I had any other questions on the presentation.
Okay.
So I think mainly, I presented this to recreation last night. They made their comments. We incorporated into these slides. And Leah's presenting it to conservation. And so for your comments, we will go back, tweak those for the community meeting on Thursday, and then tweak anyway for the town meeting, but also based on any feedback we get Thursday night, and then can send everyone your way, like the full narrative and the, slide deck.
I guess my last question on the outdoor play, do we have an understanding of what that's going to be? Is it going to be logs to step on and rocks and things like that? Is it pine dust or like pine bark mulch? I saw a picture on there and that was getting my last, again, thinking of what folks might ask.
Okay. I don't know about the material underneath. I don't think we've talked about that, but I do believe it's going to be logs and rocks.
Okay.
Yes, very, very natural, very casual. You know, the family doesn't want anything, right? Like organized. We're in the deed, you know, sticking to passive recreation, but kind of just in the woods, couple things to kind of, you know, play around on type idea.
Yep. It may be good to call out if it is pine bark mulch, because again, if a kid falls off of it, the pine bark is going to be more forgiving than just grass or dirt or something might be. So, or crushed
Okay.
stone. I mean, again, I work for a construction company. We design a lot of different passive type projects like this, but also active playgrounds. And it becomes a very big thing where if you've got a big rock and the kid falls off,
Okay.
it's pine bark is pretty cheap and maintainable as well. So
Yeah, we can talk to Ray about that, see if he had a specific idea.
I'm not thinking it would be like a rubberized pellet like some of the playgrounds that they use, because this isn't active like that. But again, it
Right.
might be a question that a parent asks, you know, what's the safety factor or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys, you know, come up with any further questions, thoughts, things you think we should add or speak to, absolutely any feedback ahead of the 17th, just shoot me an email. More than happy to get it now and try to get out in front of any surprises.
Yeah, just being
trying to-
prepared for those questions is, sorry, John.
No, I agree. I think it's trying to get the weird questions out there that people might ask. Again, the meeting, I think it was CPC was, or whatever the funding meeting was, all they wanted to talk about was parking really. So
Mhm.
that was kind of the primary thing they focused on. To Betsy's question before, I don't know if Jen, if you could answer. So the parking lot's gonna be plowed in the winter. Leah mentioned that it'd be plowed, you know, through DPW and everything. But the trail, I think the Stone Dust Trail and the larger loop would not be maintained because of the snowshoeing and the cross-country ski type activity, or is that going to be maintained?
We're gonna, I think we have to have more conversation of what that stabilized stone dust can handle. There's also a couple other materials we can consider, but I think they require more maintenance because there's more moving material with them. And no matter what, I mean, that's our intention, is that the parking lot will be, and because this will have year-round access to it. But as with all of our parks that parks maintain, those lots obviously do come last compared to roads. So it will always be, you know, like 2 days after a storm, you know, for example. But it will be at least accessible in the lot. I think we have to have a further conversation about the actual path. That's the intention. I actually don't know if we've talked further with that with DPW on it though.
Okay. Yeah, living up in the airport neighborhood, the airport parking lot sometimes gets neglected for weeks. And it's just full of snow, but there's no baseball games going on, so.
Leah, can you tell me how long that walking loop is? And then the trails, like how far, like, could you estimate like how long it would take you to do the whole loop?
You know, I had that figure from a past meeting and I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can dig it up.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah, I
urgent,
think
just
it's
curious.
less than a quarter of a mile on the loop path, and we're maybe over 3/4 to a mile on the entire trail system.
Got it. I'm
And-
very excited for it.
And Jen, when you say 3/4 to a mile, the entire thing, is that on top of the quarter ADA, or is the quarter ADA part of the 3/4 to 1?
Yeah, the quarter ADA is part of 3/4.
Okay.
I think it's like 4,500 or 4,800 total linear feet or something, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, so if you guys are on it, help spread the word, reach out to your friends,
Yep.
get some support, and tell them to come out and vote.
Yeah.
And we got the project page still going on the website. It's got the flyer on there for Thursday. Jan's been pushing that out on our Facebook. Jen's been pushing it out to her. She has a much larger rec crowd that she's been blasting that out to. But you know, any of those materials you guys want to take and distribute, if you're on, you know, I don't know, social media, parent groups or anything like that. Thursdays, people's.
Can we put something on the what is the Grafton Facebook page? Not the town one, but the other
All
one.
things.
All things, yeah, you know the one you ask, where's the best restaurant in Grafton?
Do any of you belong to that
I
page?
do. So if you
Okay.
want to send me something, I'll post.
Okay.
And Leah, if you send me any information, like if there is a flyer or something, what I could do is if I'm at Scouts with my son or any of the activities, I can also push it to that group. Because again, I think they would take advantage of using this down the road as well. So I think they would want to support it. So
Okay.
No, I just think of all the people, you know, living on North Street and just how crazy it is to try to walk with the cars flying by. It's not the widest road in the world. And so just in this, my, you know, neighborhood, all the people to be able to even, you know, walk up there and then do that loop is so much more pleasant than getting killed on Bicknell Road or, you know, going up North Street.
getting buzzed on the sidewalk on North Street. Yeah.
Does anyone know whether they're going to replace Axtell Corner? Jonathan, do you know?
I
You
don't
know,
know.
down on North Street where it flips to Wesson, continues on. It used to be like a triangle.
Think
Yeah,
about
like a-
validating that.
And now they've just totally repaved it. And it kind of just kept people honest and slowed down. So now I think it's going to be an accident-prone corner.
Yeah, they brought. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go Patrick. I'm rambling.
Oh, I was gonna say, it looks like they brought the curbs out into the road on the side. Looked like they're
Right.
consolidating it into what it looks like now, which is very different than what they had before.
Yeah. No, it's going to be a speedway is what it's going to be.
Gotta get all the traffic through there for the new development down there, I guess.
Yeah.
On Indian.
Yeah, it's like the yield means hit the gas and see if you can cut off the person in front of you.
I now know exactly where you're talking about, and yeah, I've probably nearly died there a few times.
Yeah,
It's-
right?
So yeah, I'm not sure about that end of North Street, but
Yeah.
I tend not to cut through there because of that, the way the road is.
Yeah, it's been closed for off and on for the past few weeks, so I've been looping around. But I was just telling somebody the other day when my son was about 6, they had that proposed as a bus stop for the kids to stand in that little triangle as cars come flying by.
Interesting. Interesting.
And so Jonathan, if I just mention one more thing. I want to let
Sure.
people know too that we have support from a few other commissions, obviously besides recreation and conservation, but we have gone in front of the Historical Commission, the Accessibility Advisory Commission, and Finance Committee has recommended passage of the article.
That's
So we do have all that support as well.
that's wonderful.
That's great. I'm assuming that will be part of the presentation then is all of the, I mean, I know that those committees might not be represented on stage or whatever, but can we
Yeah.
put that into the proposal, or can that be mentioned and say, we have the, the
Right.
buy-in following?
We
All right.
have, so in addition to our slide deck, we also have like a Word doc narrative going that, has more points that will be said out loud that just aren't on the screen. That list of supportive groups is in there. We're also getting some quotes from the Ingval family to stick in there
Yeah.
in support of the project.
Are any of the Engvalds going to be at the town meeting?
I don't think so. They're not local to Grafton anymore.
Yeah.
But I did send them the plan and everything just recently, and they're very happy with it. So they're also trying to dig
Great.
up maybe some more historical photos for us. Yeah, I don't know, Jen, if I missed anything else that would be said but wouldn't be in the slide deck. I
Yeah,
know
the
that-
only thing I was thinking was, again, I know I mentioned it though, but so you know, again, it's part of the speaker notes, like the contingency factor. And to speak a little further on the grant opportunities and shoot, what was the third thing? Oh, and to just let people know that there's still CPA fund. CPA will still have about $300,000 available in funds like in May to fund projects. If anything comes for them in May and not have to wait till July till their next FY revenues come in. So even though CPA is funding this out of their like kind of available cash, we're not tying everything up. They still have, you know, opportunity for future projects.
Awesome.
That's good. That's always a question of mine. Something along those lines. Other projects, I mean.
All right.
Okay.
Did you guys have anything else for the Recreation Commission, or does the Recreation Commission have anything else for us?
I guess the one last thing, I'm pretty sure we brought it up at a past meeting, or it was a question, was if the Engvalls can't, if a member of the Engvall, and then Betsy, I think you might have brought this up, but
Yeah.
if an Engvall member can't be there, would it, if we're doing a presentation, could a small video be part of that?
Yeah.
If they wanted to say something, to say, hey, you know, we've donated this land and we're really happy to see this opportunity, and you know, we've been part of the town for so long, and that type of thing might go a little ways too, if they can't physically be there. But
The
I-
son who was photographed in one of the oldest son, and I can't think of his name. I want to say Ernie, but it's not. You know, he was sort of his father's right hand guy, especially when Dick was getting too old to do stuff. And I'm sure that if he could do a 30-second video of how much this would mean to Dick and Ginny and the family and how excited they are, I think video is so powerful.
We can certainly ask, yeah.
Yeah. And
they
I'm
could film
sure,
from
you
their
know,
phone, you know, it
so
could be
easy.
filmed from
Yeah,
their phone.
yeah. It doesn't have to be produced. In fact, it shouldn't be produced because it's more authentic, not being produced.
Yeah, we can ask them for sure.
I agree. I think the video would go a long way to help
Yeah.
pull people into it, tie the family into it. I don't have any other questions though.
No, but I thank everybody for your work on this. This is really exciting, and having personally known Ginny and Dick for a long time, they'd be really proud.
Glad to hear it.
Okay. Jen or
Well,
the
thank you.
commission?
Thank you to the Conservation Commission, you guys. Thanks for helping us make this happen and, you know, attending the meeting to work it all out.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Leah. So are we good to move on to the Fisherville Terrace update as the next
Sure.
discussion item?
Yeah, we can do that. So this, if you guys recall, I think at the last meeting, we talked about this was a 40B. So previously it wasn't under our jurisdiction, had just been under the ZBA, but then they had a lot of erosion and sedimentation issues that crossed Main Street and then went into the wetlands on the other side of the road. We got a report from Graves Engineering documenting everything. This was when I was away on vacation. Nice surprise to come back to. And then we talked with the developer. So maybe it's been a meeting or two that we've been talking about this. Talked with the developer about whether he wanted to continue with his own wetland consultant to document what happened and then propose what they're going to do to fix it, or if he wanted to work more directly with Ecotech, and we would collect those funds just like we do for any other consultant services at the applicant's expense. So they chose to go the Ecotech route. We have funds in hand. We authorized Ecotech to go out there. We got a report back from Art on his findings, and he had recommendations. The main highlights are that they need to clean the culvert and the catch basins, that's where the most sediment had accumulated. So those need to be cleaned. They also need to protect those structures going forward to make sure this doesn't happen again. So Art sent his recommendations and also asked the timeline that the applicant proposed doing this work, because Art will go out and supervise it. They did not answer that email. A day or two after, I added to the chain to say, officially, I agree with what Art said. Tell us your timeline. I haven't gotten an answer again. Regardless of an answer or not an answer, we need to issue an enforcement order so that it is all documented, first of all. Second of all, that would be the permitting mechanism, if you will, for them to go ahead and do these fixes, because they don't currently have an order of conditions or anything to be in those wetlands. So this issuing an enforcement order would, that's the paperwork to put in place to allow this work to occur. So, I mean, we can call it whatever you want. We can call it an enforcement order. Some folks also talk about friendly enforcement orders, where you give folks a heads up, like, this is coming because, you know what's going on, but we need a paperwork trail.
They've already read the Art's report?
Yeah, they received that at the same time I did.
Yeah, so I would say an order of enforcement, quite frankly, because the report and the meeting before, this is not like blindsiding them.
Mhm.
They knew that there was going to be accountability, and
Absolutely.
I thought Art's report was very straightforward. If I can read it and understand it, you're doing okay. I had a question though, because as I'm reading it, it says the cleaning work should be done when there is no stream flow. So whilst we're in a wet season, or seem to be going into a wet season, is that going to be a problem? And will that be a form of obfuscation of getting it not done?
So I can talk to Art about the timing. We are still, and I just checked today, we're still level 3 drought status here. So we are still behind on precipitation.
Yeah.
I know, it has been raining and stuff, but so we might have a little bit of a prolonged dry period that they can get out there and do that. But I'll talk to him because, so that we can set up some kind of time frame and deadline for all of this.
But definitely, I think being firm with the order of enforcement is not, if this was a resident of town with some issues in their backyard, a gentle letter, but these are people doing business.
Yeah.
It's been, like I said, this is an ongoing issue. It's not a surprise to them. And if they're ghosting you and Art, then, put a little bite into it.
Okay. So
Do
sorry.
you want us? I was going to say, do you need a motion basically to do that? Okay.
Exactly.
So do I have a motion?
Yep, I make a motion to have a letter of enforcement sent to I don't know the name of the company, but regarding the Fisherville Terrace culvert repair.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Betsy,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and I'm also yes. The vote passes to issue the enforcement order.
All right.
All right. Is that it?
That's
Take
it.
a motion to adjourn.
Do I have
Second,
a second? Motion and a second. Betsy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Patrick?
yes.
I'm also a yes. The meeting is adjourned.